Better.
Welcome to the Growing with Fishes podcast. I'm Steve.
And everybody's laughing already.
I'm Brian Grove. I'm Fish. Go ahead. Who's next?
I'm Leighton Morrison, Kingdom Aquaponics.
That's our guest for tonight, and I'm Latewood.
And as always, we have our fearless leader, Giggles.
This is the Growing with Fishes podcast. We're having some funny discussions before the show. Anyways, we do this show every week. The show is focused around both aquaponic and cannabis users. Unfortunately, Dave from Barbados had to cancel on us last minute. He got stuck at work late, and he might be with us later in the show. It depends on how long it takes him to get home. He does not have any kind of Wi-Fi or internet connection from where he works at, so unfortunately he was not able to join us, but he did give me a call earlier. So hopefully maybe later in the show he'll join us. If not, we'll get him on not next week, but the week after. We were hoping to have Mammoth P on this week, but unfortunately they had to postpone last minute for us. But they will be on next week. And we're also going to have Black Dog LED on the week after that, so that'll be really cool. We have a lot of cool guests lined up. This week we have Kingdom Aquaponics. He's here to talk to us about a pretty cool line of products he's been working on. Before that, I just wanted to say a quick shout out to Ouroboros Farms. If you're looking for any aquaponic classes, definitely check them out. They got a commercial class, I think, this weekend. They also have, I teach the cannabis class up there and the medicinal herb class up there, so definitely check that out. And Marty and I are working on a new date for the online class for July. I know a couple people have bought tickets. We will get that rescheduled here. I will have a new date for you by the Friday of next week. I just have to get together with Marty with his new baby and everything. I think we're going to give him a couple more weeks to get a little more adjusted with the munchkin. As we all know, newborns can be a little bit of a handful. So for him and his wife's sake, I think we're going to give him an extra few weeks before we do a new class. So I don't think that we're going to reschedule that in June, but I do think we'll do that sometime in July. I think that's everything for now. Oh, also check out shout out to Dude Grows Show. They gave us a big shout out this week. Actually today I think it was for my video on bubble hash to rosin. So big shout out. There's Marty.
Hey, what's up?
I was just saying how we hadn't picked a date yet.
Congrats on the kid, Marty.
Yeah, everyone, congrats, Marty.
Yeah, thanks.
Congratulations.
Hey, Marty, I got 6 kids.
On the child,
Congratulations.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
So we heard it's a healthy girl.
That's right.
Good for you.
Hell yeah.
Right on, man.
So what's happening?
No, we were just doing intros.
Cool.
Yeah. I think that's everything. Oh, the other announcement I wanted to make real quick is I started posting everything up on all the old episodes. I'm in the process of posting them up. It takes me a couple of hours to do each one. I have to download it and then re-upload it individually. It's a slow work in progress. I think I got 8 or 9, or no, I'm up to episode 12 now I have to do. So give me a couple more days. I'll have all the old episodes up on SoundCloud. So if anyone's out there looking to listen to the show, I know we had quite a few people looking to demand. I'm also setting up the RSS feed so we can finally get set up on iTunes and a bunch of other distribution. I'm working on the social media and the just overall distribution and social part of this. I'm also working on a website, slow work in progress. That'll kind of work as a hub for called Growing with Fishes. It'll hopefully be like an aquaponic cannabis forum, as well as discussion area, and people will be able to post stuff and all that stuff. Share what they're doing and just have a little community for all of us that maybe isn't tied to Facebook or something else.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have like a fallback spot if for some reason removed off of Facebook, which they love to do to cannabis sites.
Well, not even that. Like, not everybody likes Facebook, and not everyone does social media and stuff. So it'd be cool if we just had a place where we could anonymously post our own stuff that's controlled by us and owned by servers that we physically own and control, and there's no weirdness. So it'd be kind of nice for everyone's safe, peace of mind. So
For sure.
I am working on that. I bought growingwithfishes.com, so
Right
we'll
on,
have
man.
that also up here
All
in a
right.
couple of weeks. Yeah.
Now, when you
Yeah,
say you're
but
getting the thing
little
stuff
surprise
done
I'm
up with
working on for everybody.
iTunes, is that going to be like an audio only podcast, so people listen on the
Yeah.
podcast player?
Yeah, so if you guys don't have or if you don't normally aren't able to watch YouTube videos, definitely go check us out over on SoundCloud. I think it's Ponics. I made the account a long time ago and just hadn't updated it, but at some point I'll get around to remaking a separate one for Growing with Fishes. I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. But I have both the new podcast, which we're doing on Mondays now, called Last Week in Cannabis, which was a fun new show we started this week, and then now the Growing with Fishes podcast, which we've been doing for since March 17th. I was looking at the date before, so a year and a half almost, which is really cool. Or no, I guess a year and a quarter.
I feel like
But,
John Oliver is going to sue you over that name at some point if you ever get big.
No, he
well,
won't.
John, I figured it between John Oliver and Dude Grows. Dude Grows
Well,
is
you
This Week in
just tonight.
Cannabis. I'm Last Week in Cannabis. So.
Yeah.
It'll be a
If you'd
class
gone
action
last week
lawsuit.
in Cannabis
Right,
tonight.
class action lawsuit with Dude Grows and John Oliver. So.
I think John will be happy for you.
Right. Anyways, we'll get to our guest this week. This week we have Kingdom Aquaponics. He's joining us all the way from Massachusetts, right? Correct?
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Close enough.
It's the right coast.
Yep. And he's been doing aquaponics for quite a while, and he has a kind of a cool product line, something a little bit different than anything else that's out there for aquaponics. He was kind enough to send us some for us to play with and some of our systems, and I wanted to get him on the show. So thanks for joining us, and tell us a little about you and your company and what you've been up to.
All right. Take a dive, boys. I've been on this trip since I was a kid. I designed a sustainable home in 1979 as an 8-year-old or 9-year-old. So, yeah, I go back. I grew fish, bred them, saltwater tanks, brackish tanks, freshwater. Got into displays, growing plants with the fish and how to balance filters. And so I learned this shit at a young age. And then I got into construction, forced to make a living. Banging nails, building everything from design build houses all the way up to steel buildings. Got into plumbing, electrical, ventilation, acoustics, everything. Because, hey, I wanted to know what the fuck. And so about 6 years ago, I was on a trip to understand soil. I really wanted to understand what it was that allowed plants to grow, not synthetically. And it was directly related to aquaponics because of my past experience with plants and fish. What I learned was how to make a product that could replicate what nature would have been 500-600 years ago. Anywhere where fresh water hit the ocean or where fresh water was abundant after waterfalls, there was a tremendous amount of life. And people settled there. All you had to do was build a house. Get all the water and food you need. Uterus. How the fuck fix it? I harvested the microbiology to work out with the soil. Recreate what would have been there in a aquaponics in a different floodplain, a fertile environment. I didn't grow fish and turtles and so that I could package it up and ship it bam, you got everything you fucking need to grow anything. My trip, and Steve and I caught up, I don't know, a couple years ago, back and forth, and you know, he's on to get it. You eat, it's not about if you be.
Am I the only one having a audio issue?
Okay, I was gonna ask
Oh, thank
that
God.
too,
I
but
thought
I
it was
didn't want
just
to
me.
Yeah, I
interrupt.
was wondering if that was on my end or his. So
I
your
just
your
want to
audio
know.
is breaking up a little bit.
I thought it was those
Oh.
Quaaludes they took. Oh, God.
But
Yeah.
Leighton, your entire statement, pretty much the entire statement you made just now was just flanging and totally.
Yeah, completely garbled.
But we
It
could
was-
hear the passion.
Yeah.
There was
Is
no-
there I don't know if you're on Wi-Fi, if you can move closer to the Wi-Fi router, or if you're
Or
on
not
some
move.
cell phone connection.
Don't walk around.
No, I'm in the only get.
Maybe try reconnecting. Do you have the? I can resend you the link real fast. It was working fine earlier.
Let's try it.
Yeah.
We did an audio test earlier.
All right, you know
can
what?
also
Hang
go
on.
to- You can also go to the bandwidth settings on your thing there and turn down the bandwidth, and that can help as well a little bit.
Does that work?
Sounds okay
Can
at
you
the
hear me?
moment. You can try saying something. Say something for like a minute or two, and then we'll tell you.
Okay. So when I was a kid, I got into sustainable architecture, building, environment. Grew fish, raised them, bred them, and then I got into plants, aquatic plants. So that's where I started as a young boy. Did you hear that?
Yes. Just watch your how far your mouth is from your mic on your phone. I think that's it. I think some of you overdrive a little sometimes.
And talk slightly slower, and it seems like that fixed it.
Yeah.
Good thing we're not doing this show live.
Yeah. Well, we got it working in sound check. That's the thing. It was working fine earlier.
Yeah,
That's only.
Great.
Yeah, it's the energy, brothers. It's the energy.
Okay.
So about 5 or 6 years ago, I got sick of doing construction, stonework. I mean, you have no idea. I played with every material on the planet, from the living to wood to stone, you name it. And I got into, like I said, about 6 years ago, I got into the biological side. Like, what is it that fucking actually grows plants and animals? Well, why do they survive? Why do they live? Why do they breed? So everything comes from the soil and everything goes back to the soil. That doesn't change. So I took I got involved with Rodale Institute in Pennsylvania. And I chased down this lady called Dr. Elaine Ingham. And she was preaching about what's called the ecosystem, or soil food web.
Nope.
And she was the first one to actually bring to life that, you know what, there is something going on in the dirt. And that's
she has some amazing videos. Sorry to interrupt. She has her series of I think it's called Life in the Soil with Dr. Lane. Is a great series on YouTube for anybody that hasn't seen it. It's a very well put together program. So
Can you drop a link for the chatters?
Sure.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. So I got to hang out with her for 18 months and all the scientists down at Rodale. So I was playing with guys. I was playing with mycorrhizae experts, vermiculture experts, compost experts, Japanese gardens, you name it. I got to play around with these people that do this for a living organically, or try to. And what they're all about is the health of the soil. Like, the soil is a skin over the earth, and it not only pulls nutrients from the rock below, but it harvests energy of the sun above. And it all works together. And that's what it's all about. And so my focus was to create a product through aquaponics, because aquaponics basically represents every place that man populated as it grew as a species. It always went to waters and to oceans and rivers because there was an abundance of food. And it all was related to this ecosystem or soil food web that allowed the bacteria to consume the actual minerals and be consumed by a protozoa, which was consumed by a plant or a nematode or a rotifer, which fed a fry of a fish that turned into a little fishling that was eaten by a bigger fish that was harvested and fed families. So basically I tried to recreate that biologically. So all as a customer you need to do is mix the right amount of sand, the right amount of clay, and the right amount of silt, and then add my biology, and you can grow anything you want anywhere, as long as you have light and water. So that's what I'm all about. Did you hear it that time?
Yeah,
yes, that was
absolutely.
great. Great. That worked great.
Now, I noticed you use a lot of humic acids in your products. Do you want to talk more about how they benefit plants?
Well, humic acids are the smallest component compound that's left behind from plant or matter decay, organic matter. So basically it's a marble. It's the knot. It's like the beach stones you find on the shore. They're ground down to nothing, but they're the hardest things, so they're still there. Otherwise, they'd have been disintegrated. So the humic acid on a molecular level is basically like buckyballs, like a whole handful of buckyballs. That is a molecule of humic acid. So now if you demagnetize that, all of a sudden those buckyballs go flying everywhere, right? Well, now you've unraveled the humic acid and made it plant available. So how do you do that? Fucking biology. The bacteria will break that thing down and release all of those nutrients that are bound up in the smallest particulate of humic matter that is known to man. And we don't know why it forms that knot, but you can't untie that knot without biology. So you can spray or pour or mix up all the humic acid you want and dump it on anything you want. But if you don't have biology, that humic acid ain't going to do any good.
So tell us more about the different products that you've been working on.
Well, I basically have screened out products. They're made from vermicasting, which is worm culture, compost, which I make myself, and then they're introduced to fish waste, which is the biology. So basically you are detaching the existing soil biology from the compost and the vermicastings, and you're blending it with the aquaculture, the aquaponics waste. Then it's a matter of suspending the biology, removing the big pieces, and forcing the biology to reattach to the smaller pieces. So basically I build condominiums for the biology. Spray or you spray the product that I provide, you are sending out little condominiums into the soil that are basically sustainable. And as the biology consumes that condominium, it slowly evolves to the surrounding environment. So instead of sending out a little tiny bacteria into this, a lot of the biological amendments are basically lab grown biology, so they'll never survive. They're just food for the others. We're more about colonizing the soil correctly through the plant that you're trying to grow. So we make compost specifically based on your plant.
They do that in England. They do that in England a lot. They have specific compost that people use for different vegetables, and then your pot growers find their favorites. They call it a grow bag. They go down and buy a bag, and just full of compost, and all you do is open it up and put a plant in it. Interesting.
Yeah, and that's easy to do. But is that compost specific for that plant? And does the biology that came in with it? I mean, you're going to be able to grow anything you want with what you purchase, especially the educated consumer. To the next level and really recreate the environment in which that plant will really thrive.
Losing you, Leighton. We're losing you again.
You. Yeah, well, fucking technology, right?
I like how it came back just in enough time to hear fucking technology.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, it wasn't for long. It was only a couple sentences, but you went away fast. And sorry, we have to have an abridged edition of this show, I guess.
You know what, guys? Next time, I'll try to do this through a computer, which is plugged in.
That would probably work better, brother.
But we're still loving everything we're hearing. Don't get us wrong.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I just have two projects coming on.
So throw some questions.
Oh, throw some questions. All right, we'll let the other guys go.
Well, my questions are usually more the jackass variety, so I'll leave it up to the people who actually know this stuff.
I was just going to say, how do you harvest your microbes from the aquaponic systems?
I do an aerobic stabilization. So I harvest the dirty shit, and I stabilize it immediately from harvesting it, and then I stabilize it for a period of time that I see the right organisms present, and then I know I'm on bat. I'm ready to go.
So what do you mean when you say stabilize?
You want all my tricks?
No, just in general, because a lot of people are not going to know what you mean.
It's called aerobic stabilization, forcing air through it.
Gotcha.
So you just aerate it, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have to
okay.
And all right, since you asked the right question, the real point is you do it via vortex, by natural force. So you use a cone bottom system to create aerobic stabilization through the outside back into the middle. Vortex. Kind of like a black fucking hole.
Thank you for that excellent explanation of that. Yeah, okay. Cool.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm passionate about my shit.
Well, this panel here could ask you stuff that most people wouldn't ask you, and it will be like, oh, wait a minute, I'm giving away my secrets. That was a great question, Marty. I mean, like, that was awesome.
And you know what, guys? It is about sharing. All right, I can harvest the wealth I want, but what is wealth? It's more problems.
I completely agree with that. I had this conversation with some relatives recently, and they're just like, "Oh, you shouldn't be giving away all this information for free and whatnot." I'm just like, "Well, I don't see why I should be charging for it."
Well, you give it away to people that listen, and then you charge people that actually have a project that you can make. You can have projects like Steve does that. I do that. So it goes both ways.
I definitely see that angle of it. But I mean, just for like general knowledge, I don't see why I should be charging for it.
No.
It depends on what degree
and
what scale you're trying to grow.
Right. That's the scale of the grow is the cut. It's a line. That's where you draw the line. What you
Yeah, I
share.
think everybody has, draws it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But I think for me personally, like if you want to ask me questions about what I've done and then use that information to further what you're doing yourself, then more power to you. But if you want to directly ask me advice to solve a problem with something that you're doing, that's where I sort of make the delineation between if you want me to coach you along in your grow or something like that, then that's a little bit different than just saying, asking a question like, oh, what did you do to get here? And verbally explaining it, I don't necessarily have a problem with. But if you have questions specific to what somebody else is doing, specifically if they're trying to profit off of it themselves, obviously I don't.
Right. Especially.
Yeah, I guess I'm really referring to like the stuff that I share on my YouTube channel. I don't mind sharing all that stuff for free.
Right, and I definitely feel that way too. Obviously, all my YouTube stuff is free, and we put a lot of stuff up there and out there. The podcast is free,
right?
So there's always places to get information. So really, like the organization of information is about the only thing that you can really do for people, so you can get it all in one place or all at one time or whatever else. But besides that, if you're asking for personal help of somebody on a grow that you're trying to profit off of, then it seems to me that you shouldn't be asking for that help for free. If you're just trying to grow for yourself, for instance, like I have a number of people that belong to my Patreon page, which is normally like $3 a month or something like that. But any military veterans or cancer patients, I don't charge anything to, because I don't think that is an appropriate thing to do. So they contact me privately and I send them private links to all of the same videos that you would get otherwise, because they're trying to survive. That's really about it. And I don't feel right profiting off of that. So I try, anytime I put up the link for Patreon or any of that, I try to also put that up. And just because that, you got to draw a line somewhere. You don't want to go around helping everybody for free all the time while they make money off of you. But you also don't want to be profiting off of cancer patients and military vets with PTSD that just want to know the information and use it for themselves. So it's
huge thumbs up to you for doing that, dude.
Yeah.
All right, boys. I took it to the next level. 5 years ago, I took a vow of poverty. You guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, I don't want to own anything. I just want what I need to survive, period. And all the money that I make, I donate back to causes that actually have benefits, not the bullshit that is sold through donation. It's about donating time, knowledge, and the finances to do what is necessary. So awesome. Yeah, that's why I'm here speaking, because I'll give you guys the knowledge as long as it's presented appropriately for the benefit of all, then I'm good with it.
For sure.
So now that your mic's working good again, why don't you tell us about the different stuff that you got? He was kind enough to send me 4 different products. He sent me Harmonize, Defender, Rejuvenate, and Alliance. The Rejuvenate and Alliance are a powdered formula. I'll let him talk about it and I'll just show them. And then the other 2 are kind of like an instant use compost tea or something similar to that. I'll let him again explain that more in detail.
Oh shit! Back on the mic.
Yeah, it's a segment, man. Put you on the spot.
Basically, the solids are easy to use. The Alliance is for mixing with solids. So you're planting. You mix sand, silt, and clay, or you mix potting soil, whatever you want. Basically, Alliance is like bigger flakes, so they're like aircraft carriers, man. They're loading the fucking soil with biology. So whatever you produce or whatever you plant it with, which is generally sterile, you're introducing them. You're getting them ready. The Rejuvenate is like an instant tea, just like we used to have in the 70s. You take a scoop of this shit, you throw it in water, stir it up, and bang, you got instant fucking iced tea. Except for it's biological, so it's alive. The harmonize that's complicated. It's semi-unstable. You have to use it quickly or it goes anaerobic. Not that anaerobic is bad, need nutrient solution. Like, I'm all about providing a living environment. So I could take my living environment, my fish that I catch out of the ocean, and I can stuff them in a bucket and let them rot, turn to nasty ass smelling shit. And you dump it on your plants, it'll still work. But it's not alive. It's only food for what's there. So all I'm about is building colonies of life so that that life is constantly harvesting all the nutrients that are existing in the soil that you're providing. So yeah, we can bathe it with nutrient solutions. And Lord knows, Dr. Elaine would bitch slap me so fucking hard right now for saying this, but you can dump your fucking blue-green shit right on top of my biology. And my biology will survive to some degree, but you're going to have to buy more because you fucked it up pretty bad. So basically what I'm fucking doing is giving you a unstable product that if you don't use correctly and efficiently, you're going to spoil. And it's okay. It's not as good as it could have been. The last defender. How it actually functions.
Do you want to go back a little bit? Maybe 45 seconds or so.
All right. Fulvic acid.
Sorry about the audio problems. You just his connection's been a little temperamental. Give him a second here. All right, you want to try that again? See if your connection's a little better now.
All right. Did you get through harmonize? Like, did you hear the whole thing?
Just not the last 45 seconds. 30 to 40 seconds, you said?
Yeah. You were talking about what happens when it goes anaerobic.
Yes.
Right. So when the humic acid goes anaerobic, so that's harmonized. Basically, you're creating a nutrient solution, so it's going to wash through the soil. It's not alive anymore. Kingdom Aquaponics' goal is to provide you live organisms that live within your plant's rhizosphere and the soil around it. So if I sell a product like harmonized, you have to use it very quickly.
Hold on. We lost you quickly.
You're gone again. Damn. Wonder what's happening.
Yeah.
Late. See,
I want to give it to you, though. One lot. This fucking. All right, last, I'm going to dial it down. I'm going to breathe in and out. Fulvic acid, look it up. Like, it's fulvic, Fulvic acid. It elongates cells. It provides cell strength. It supplies the fucking enzymes for that cell to absorb nutrients from outside its environment. You hear me?
Yes.
We lost you in an environment.
We don't know if you're done or if we lost you, so everybody's
we heard you in environment. So if that was the last thing you said over gravy, you were crystal clear before that.
All right, so these conversations will happen again and again over the next couple of months, and I will get a system that I can actually speak without getting busted up. But the point is,
you're good now.
Yeah, the point is that the products that we produce are biological. They're living, other than the fulvic acid. The fulvic acid is a pure tincture, an excretion of the soil. So you dilute it 3%, and that's perfect. So you're not using a lot of it, but you constantly mist the plant with it so that it's being directly absorbed into the cells. By doing that, you are increasing its defenses, you're increasing its potency, its ability to harvest light, to harvest nutrients, to excrete exudates. It gets everything functioning really, really well. It's a hormone, dude. It's a fucking hormone.
Very cool.
Now you know why Steve likes me.
So what other
probably a few weeks ago now, last time I was on, I think, or maybe might even been months ago now, but we talked about some of the differences in like humic acid products, I guess is the best way to say it. Is there's so many different products out there that advertise that they're derived from humic acid or that or acids, and there's a wide variety of them that aren't really acids that I've discovered. Do you want to, or do you have any information on that you want to speak to? Because I've noticed that there's a lot of different terminology mixing going on, at least right now in the industry, where you have like humates that have already had the fulvic acid extracted from the granules, and you have different sources of humic acid. It's really a broad term for like you were talking about, sort of the smallest building blocks, and where you find them can be relatively different. Is that fairly accurate?
Dude, you're spot on. You're fucking spot on. Look, humans don't completely understand humic acid. We don't know why it binds up the way it does, the buckyballs. More importantly, to dry out and separate humic and fulvic acid, you basically have to create a liquid and a solid. The solid is the humic acid, the liquid is the fulvic acid. All right.
Right. So one is often, like you can't have fulvic without having previously extracted it from some sort of granular, what most people call humic acid, but some people are selling humic acid related products. I'm not going to out anybody on here, but they're selling a humic acid based product that tests at like 8.4 pH when you pour it out of the bottle. And so, obviously it doesn't take somebody who knows a lot about the pH scale to understand that it can't be an acid if it's at 8.4 on the pH scale. So I feel like some of them are misleading, and that we need a better way to be able, like, I don't know, just like separate terminology or something, so that people aren't calling the same thing different stuff. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. It's all about making money. These guys will sell you anything you want.
Yeah.
Basically, humic acid is mined. You guys know what coal is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you ever heard of brown coal?
Yep.
All right, brown coal is soft. It's mushy. Well, it's not. It's just rock-wise. You can fucking bust it apart. So the point is that brown coal is more unstable. They use brown coal and they add it in, they take these lumps of it, put it in a cauldron, and then they add acids, and then they add bases, and they wash it out. Both of those are purely chemical, and they pollute the environment doing this. And what they get left of it is little pieces of humic acid. And that's generally what is being sold as humic acid. It was a process that was created back in the 40s in Germany. And they learned how to harvest carbon sources, perfect biological food sources out of the environment. Now, they destroyed the environment making those things, but they're readily available as Omri supplied fucking humic acid. So you tell me what the fuck is wrong with me, because I'm making it out of pure organic matter, naturally, not taking coal that's been settled for billions of years, well, all right, millions of years, and then I'm adding acids and bases from the chemical plant and then dumping them back into the water source to create humic acid for you to put in your garden. Is there something wrong with me?
No, and that's kind of what I was you know, sort of trying to get you to allude to was that, you know, there are definitely some very misleading humic acid products out there, and there's a big difference between mined humic acid or acids. And it seems like most people that I feel like label it differently. So at least in my experience, the ones that I've found that are labeled granular humic acids or humic acids as plural, for some reason seems to be mined as opposed to generated. Whereas if you just get like a humic acid based product, it's referred to as humic acid singular for some reason. I don't know why that is. It's just an observation, but obviously the mined humic acid that you're getting from the natural deposits is going to be different than the derived ones that you're talking about from the chemical process of it. And the main difference is the amount, from what I understand in tests that I've read, is the amount of fulvic acids that are naturally occurring versus the created ones. That basically is, you know, significantly less in the, I don't want to say created ones, but in the chemical washes, you end up with a lot less fulvic acid because it dissolves in the chemical wash. Is that your understanding? Am I correct in that?
Dude, man, you are fucking deep. You get it. You're like fucking Steve, man.
A+ for me.
Fucking the conversations Steve and I have are like speaking alien. Anybody listening to us would have no fucking idea what we're talking about. Potassium sulfate versus phosphate. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? Is the electron floating right or is it floating fucking left?
Wait, you forgot about potassium bicarbonate.
Oh, damn. See? Another bitch slap.
Or potassium silicate.
I'm hanging with my folks now, finally. It's good to speak to people that are intelligent. No, you are absolutely right.
I like this guy.
Generally speaking, if it comes in a liquid form,
Breaking up a bit.
Yep, calm down.
Goes in. Take a hit.
So if in a cup, if you take
You okay?
Did he tap
all
out
right,
completely?
all right, guys, you're back.
I think we lost him for a second there.
And he's back.
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, he's good. Okay, continue.
Fucking technology killing me.
Hey, it's been phenomenal, and then it just goes out. It's just like, wow, best show this month, you know, and stuff like that, you know.
All right. So the spirits aren't going to let me get all my shit out tonight, but I'll get as much as I can.
Who fucked up the car?
All right. So if you buy a liquid form of humic acid and you pour it in a glass and let it sit, you will see that it settles out, and you will have fulvic acid on the top and humic acid on the bottom, just based on turbidity, solids and liquids, right? It settles the fuck out. If you buy granular, then they've already extracted the fulvic acid. They've pulled all that out of it. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. There's an amazing relationship between fulvic and humic acid, similar to soil and aquatic ecosystems, which is what is all about, is that relationship. So I just took it to a new level, guys. That's all I did.
That's something that I've noticed that through teaching on the, I've done 12 years teaching on forums, major cannabis forums and such around the world. And that was always a point of misunderstanding. Basically what you're talking about tonight. That's why I wanted to speak up just now. I found that the people on the forums and people growing and trying to figure this out and teach it and learn it, you know, they're having the same problem understanding the humic and fulvic acid, the difference and the correlation between the two?
It's very simple, but it's very complex.
Well, you made it sound simple, so that was pretty cool. You know, I mean, and then, you know, especially you and Marty, I mean, you know, we could write a freaking chapter in a book on what you guys talked about for 5 minutes.
No, he gets it, bro. He fucking gets it.
Yeah, what do we need to write a book for? That's why we have podcasts now.
Oh, I'm working on a book. I've been working on a book for a couple of years. I need a big commercial op to sit there side by side and photograph for all the pictures to go with everything. That's all.
I'm just going to send our podcast through voice recognition software and then print a book, make some money.
You're gonna undercut me and come out like a week beforehand and be like, "Fuck you! I've been working this whole time. The whole podcast is 1 week window. Fuck you, dude."
Voice recognition. I'll chunk it out on some of my cloud servers. Done in a few hours.
Hey, wait a minute. Wasn't that where we started about how to do this and make money so that we can support the things that we really care about?
Part of it is it's a real give and take.
Marty and I make a ton on YouTube. Just for the record, I think I've made like $89 total on YouTube in like 8 years.
Like maybe 12.
Baller status.
It could be higher.
You know,
now. I don't know.
It's funny. My #1 video is how to and when to top clone seedlings.
Yeah,
mine's some like random older video of like my first shittiest grow. For some reason, gets like tons of views. I have no idea why. It doesn't even have any tags. Like there's literally like nothing on it. The description like almost non-existent. I have no idea. Somebody's got to be posted somewhere that I don't know about or something. Like, but for whatever reason, it's like I finally I get so many views on it. I had to put up like a little annotation or whatever you call it and link people to the newer ones because people kept commenting on it like it was still something that I did. And so it's pretty funny though. I don't know why it is. The only thing I could think of is got to be posted on a forum or something somewhere that gets a lot of traffic so that, you know, it just gets enough attention. So anyway, still pretty cool. But yeah, YouTube definitely, I do find it funny when people think that like you actually make money on YouTube. It's like cents at a time.
Cents.
All right, bottom line, we still need to make money, and we still need to get the message out.
For those of you who don't know, you have to make $100 in order to extract any money. So Marty and I have made $0.
Oh yeah,
not that we're complaining.
It's $89 worth of credit, right? $89 credit.
Yeah, just don't think that we're out there raking in the internet dollars.
I thought about it the other day, and because I well, it was a while ago now, but when I was thinking about it before, the last time I checked it, and it was like there was like $20 in there. I was like, well, I could put in 80 and then take out 100. Just donate $80 to myself anonymously. And then take it back.
Yeah, like I just threw down I think it was 135 for a year for hosting for SoundCloud, so we can get everyone the videos hosted up on SoundCloud. So I'm super pumped about that, and I know we had tons of people. It also helps to set up with an RSS, so it means I can easily get set up on iTunes and everyone else that everyone's been begging us to get onto. So I am working on the social media end of the podcast. So sorry to randomly go off on a tangent.
Well, so we're talking about using our knowledge because, well, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but as you all know, I'm building a telephony type site, a telecommunication site, so that we can do one-on-one appointments, you know, hour appointments, one-on-one with clients. You know, awesome. I'm building one of those. So
cool.
So for all you guys like Marty, I got a real good thing for you because I'm trying to give a section away to veterans. Same thing you said earlier about veterans and disabled folks and people with cancer. I'm trying to get people to man a thing where I can have veterans contact veterans and give them that for free. I'll just host that area on my servers, you know. So that's why I wanted to throw that in because I want to do that stuff.
I think the veterans to veterans thing is an important point, and we had Adam from Weed for Warriors on the podcast not a while ago now. I don't even know.
He was on twice, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, he was on once when I was here, and once when I wasn't here. He filled in for me. So, but he's been on a couple of times. But it has been a while. We should reach out to him and see how he's doing. But I talk to him on Messenger all the time. But we should have him on the show. Anyway, so we talked about it in those older episodes too, and you can listen to Adam talk about it as well. But I do think that the veterans to veterans is an important part. Like having them reach out to each other, I feel like gets a different level of acceptance and open-mindedness that you don't get as a civilian talking to a veteran. And I think that that's great. Personally, I totally understand it. I don't judge anything or think that there's anything wrong with it. But what I do think is that those veterans that are sympathetic or that understand or that have successfully treated themselves, if any of them do feel comfortable reaching out to other ones, they should be encouraged to do so, because they do have that trust and brotherhood and all that stuff that they absolutely should have. And so I just like to bring that up anytime we're talking about the Veterans Association, and when we're dealing with so many suicides, and a lot of those are, in my opinion, related to prescription drugs, and different issues with that those people that have success really need to be able to speak out, for sure.
I agree, man. That's why I wanted to say, when we started this telecommunications support network project, that was one of the first things I found, that some of the guys volunteering to want to be staff to help, provide support, were veterans. And I immediately said, wow, I want to. And then the first show that I was a part of was 420, and it was a veteran show, kind of turned into a veteran show, and I just, it was perfect. And then we had Coyote over here last week again. He's a veteran, Kurt, right? Kurt. And
yep.
We talked about, but yeah, I wanted to open that stuff up. And then when you said what you said, I really would like to talk to you later about this.
Sure.
A little bit off the show, because we can go on and on, but it's not really. It's good for the veterans. I'm sure they'd love to hear this. But for all you veterans out here, we really want to do this and help support you guys.
So I think we're going to end up doing is moving This Week in Cannabis to Tuesday, especially because next week I have to travel on Monday.
Especially.
So I think we're going to just move it to Tuesday, because that'll make travel days for me easy. Since I normally travel Monday, Friday anyway. We'll do that on Monday, or that on Tuesday. My goal is to eventually get a couple of other veterans together and do a veterans-based show on Wednesdays, and then do the Growing with Fishes podcast on Thursdays, and have kind of like a three-day thing. I think it'll be the lineup, at least that I'm looking to do.
We can link all our websites together with links to all these different shows and support.
Yeah, I figured that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
The news show worked out really good. It just ended up a little long. I think I need to do a little bit of going through the article list and parsing it a little bit. But I feel like we covered a lot of really cool topics, though. I feel like our discussion and content was really fun and really cool, and we covered like a really wide range of cannabis topics, like a really wide range of shit. And I have a really good ridiculous article already for this week. So for the bullshit article of the week, we'll see if somebody tops it. We might end up doing like a top 3 bullshit articles of the week. We'll see how the week goes.
Everybody can submit a bullshit article.
If it gets really good, I mean, if I come up with a couple of lists, I'll start doing that piece on this one. But I thought that was a fun way to end the show. Well, what did we do last week? Hold on. So we might as well do last week's on. I can pull this up in 3 seconds.
That was fun, huh, Brian?
That was a lot of fun, and we got to cover a bunch of like
it was
wonky, crazy topics that you never would have normally covered. For real.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
It was the first show. That was for sure.
Those of you that don't know, check it out. There's a new show we started this week called Last Week in Cannabis, where we cover a whole bunch of news topics. If there's a really important cannabis news topic, we'll still cover it on the show, during the week. But it's kind of shifting it over. I've honestly had like 7 requests of people for me to do a separate news show on just legalization stuff and news stuff and just getting in a little bit more into the nitty gritty and stuff that I feel is important. So, or that, stuff we've been posting on the cannabis group. Marty posts a lot. I post a lot. So I thought it'd be cool to condense that all into just a more of a podcast type thing. But this week we had a teenager cuts off own penis, then stabs mother with a knife during psychotic episode brought on by potent cannabis called skunk.
What?
Yeah.
I still can't believe they caught me.
It's gotta be awesome when they eat their face off. Like, go start your bath salt so I can munch on your face.
Yeah.
How many times do we have to tell him Fish Ganja Guy was that fucked up before he smoked weed?
Right? I know. Never. You don't feed him after midnight. That was the problem.
Well, we forgot about the time zone change. I mean, that was the issue.
Oh, yeah. They never specified the time zone.
That does create a point of a vacuum there.
Anyways. That was the ridiculous article of the week. If you guys are interested in that, all the articles are in the comment section of the YouTube channel. Even if you check it out on SoundCloud, if you're wanting to actually check out any of the articles, they are posted on the YouTube. SoundCloud has a 1,000 character limit on comments, unfortunately. So, but YouTube has an unlimited one. You can actually publish the entire text of Romeo and Juliet in its original form in a single comment. It's that long. So, yeah. So there is no real limit on YouTube. So I think we're just going to post the actual links over on the YouTube so that no one gets upset about not being cited or that we're taking their content or anything. Everyone will get proper citation over there. So definitely check that out. Sorry,
So who do we have in chat today? We have any questions?
Yeah, we had a couple of questions actually. That's what I was trying to get to. And then got sidetracked a whole bunch of times.
Good job. Good job.
We had a question was, does he know if Elaine is looking on water microbial web?
Say again?
Do you know if Dr. Elaine is working on the water microbiology web?
That sounds new. All right. Elaine came from a microbiology, or aquatic. She came from oysters down in Texas, Galveston Bay.
Okay.
Or harbor, to be honest with you. She understands the aquatic link, which was really cool because most soil scientists I talked to just didn't understand that shit. That's why we connected. So is she working on that project specifically? You'd have to send me a link, sure. But it wouldn't surprise me based on everything that's going on in life these days.
Yeah, the only people that I know of right now that are actively working on mapping microbiology and an aquaponics system specifically is a group that was working with Ken Ouroboros. I don't remember the name of the company offhand, but they did a bunch of mapping the DNA of the microbes that were found within the system. Since he has his system's been up for 5 years, so they figured his would be a good baseline for a pretty old established aquaponic system. His also is very commercially viable, so they used him as a someone good to test from. And I'm not really sure what they ended up with as far as results, but I know they did a bunch of testing as far as exact microbes and exact microbial testing. I know I've used a lot of MSP in my systems, and that helps out quite a bit. The microbe in that tends to do really well actively in aquaponic systems, especially media beds.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't believe Dr. Lane's working on that. It doesn't sound like
it. Sure.
But interestingly enough, I think that it's a very important study to truly understand that. One of the things as a fisherman and a friend of other fishermen, we all noticed that out here on the East Coast, we no longer have crayfish or crawfish, if you're from the South, up and down our rivers. And that's a really scary biological indicator because without them, you're not stirring up the mud. You're not keeping the solids suspended and supporting the aquatic life downstream. So again, the knowledge of understanding, or the understanding of the knowledge of aquaponics from the bioalchemy of what it really is going to be an important thing in the future. So hopefully these people do produce good results, and why don't you post them, man? That's good shit. To understand the biology behind what it is that makes that environment so rich, and then take that and add it to sand, silt, and clay, dude, you got it, man. You got the fucking, you spun fucking lead into gold, my friend.
Or weed, whatever.
Yeah. Well, what is it? An ounce of weed and an ounce of gold, or was it a gram? Was it a gram?
No, it's probably ounce.
One of them is pretty close right now. I thought that was funny. That was like an article recently I saw. Anyways. Anyone else have any other questions for Kingdom Aquaponics? Do you have anything else you want to mention about your different things? I know you have like a more of a pest control, and then the rest are more mineral based.
That's a great question. Basically, my understanding is that the plant, provided the right nutrients and hormones, will create its own defenses. Has anyone ever read the book called What a Plant Knows?
Don't think so.
It basically explains the living organisms of a plant, how it functions. It can smell, it can taste, it can breathe, it can do all these things that we don't really take the time to think about. But it is a living organism, and it is functioning. And if you take care of it, it does really well. And if you don't, it doesn't do so well. So to understand it as an organism or a pet, then you better understand what it needs and how it survives and what makes it good or not good. So that book is a really interesting read on how a plant actually functions. And then all of these things with, the symphony of the soil and the understanding of the biology, you really get the whole picture. And as a specific plant grower, I think that it probably makes sense that you completely understand it. So boys, I'm here to fucking hang out. Let's get it done.
What a plant knows, huh?
Oh yeah. So
I like that.
To clarify my statement earlier, it's actually it's the price per pound of weed that is higher than a price per pound of gold, just for your aware.
Pound of weed to an ounce of gold?
No, a pound of weed is worth more than a pound of gold.
No, it can't be. An ounce
The
goes
current
for...
price for a pound of gold is $1,277.88.
No, that's an ounce. That's an ounce. Ounce of gold.
I'm looking at what it says when I say typed in a pound in Google.
It's an ounce, dude. It's an ounce. It's not a pound.
100 an ounce is about right. Just,
Zero in pounds.
You're really screwed if you don't have gold now.
You're right.
Alternative facts.
It's 18,000. You're right.
Dude, I'm sorry. I'm a math freak.
I clicked on the wrong thing. You're good. You're good. I was wrong. Right.
All right, guys, listen. It's fucking. Hey, it's 11 o'clock East Coast time.
It's about the same price. Or 18 and 14 karat gold, depending on market, is around the same price as per gram as weed.
Okay.
Cool.
You gotta go, Layton? Is that what you were saying? You had to go?
Yeah, guys, dude, it's 11 o'clock, man. I got shit to do tomorrow. And I just want to say it was really cool to listen to you guys and hear what you're all about. And I hope that you guys can understand what I'm all about. And if you guys check out those three resources, we could have an amazing conversation.
Thanks for coming, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
For all the listeners out there, could you name those resources again for everybody?
All right, one last time. All right, The Symphony of the Soil. Very important DVD. You can get it on YouTube. You can buy it for $9 or $20, whatever it is. You'll watch it. Every time I watch it, I learn something. I've watched it 20 fucking times. It's good. It's a documentary that really explains how the living skin of soil functions. Once you understand that, then you understand the next level, the alchemy of it all, the biology and the fucking chemistry, and then blending it and getting it to function in any environment for whatever you're trying to grow. So the next resource is understanding a plant, and it's what a plant knows. Okay, so between just the Symphony of the Soil and what a plant knows, you'll hit a home run. And I'm fucking tired, so I forget the third resource. Anyone you want to remind me?
Your website. Plug your website and social media.
Yeah, that's it. You didn't discuss the third, I don't think, actually.
All right. I thought I had 3 points.
Well, it might be going.
I'll figure it out.
You had 3 points before you smoked, and then you had
yeah,
two
that.
more.
Yeah.
That point was discussed on the pre-show. Okay.
All right, brothers. I love you, man. Peace out, and I'm looking forward to the next one. I'll be in touch with Steve over the week. All right?
All right, sounds good, man. Have a good night.
Hey, it was good having you.
All right, Godspeed, guys. Godspeed.
Hey, Steve, I gotta cut out too, man. I'm gonna go meet up with the
I
family.
was just gonna give you the. I was gonna give you the mic a second. Do you want to give us a short and dirty on what's going on?
Short and dirty. Grow's going well. Side by side between Spectrum King and Black Dog is neck and neck, as Black Dogs are notorious for putting out incredible frost. I'm doing a couple of days of dark before I harvest and get things ready to go down to the laboratory down in Orange County to see what the terpene production and the THC profiles are. So we'll see what the spectrums do.
Hey, Fish, check. This is from that Vivid Grow.
That's what the drawer was. Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
Thanks again to Leighton at Kingdom Aquaponics for joining us. Definitely check him out over Kingdom Aquaponics on YouTube, as well as KingdomAquaponicsLLC.com.
Later, guys. It's good hanging.
Later, Fish.
Thanks. It's Fish Ganja Guy.
Later, Fish.
Check him out on Fish Ganja Guy YouTube.com.
Was Fish supposed to have a space tonight?
Fish Ganja Guy on YouTube.com. I don't know what
Yeah, he also has Instagram as well.
And that too.
Right. That's right.
I gotta start doing that one. Hopefully hopefully here soon I'll have a greenhouse to play.
Somehow I got an Instagram account. I'm not sure how. I think one of my kids created it because one day I just all of a sudden started getting notifications that people were following me. So I guess I should post something to it eventually.
Or run.
Matrix has you.
People
Wake up, Neo.
It's like, no, I'm just going to decide you should be on Instagram.
Yeah. The Facebook has.
Sorry, go ahead. That was fun. I mean, that was interesting.
Yeah, he's a different character. Marty, why don't you tell us what's new with your grow this week? What have you been up to? It's been 3 weeks since you've been on. You got all kinds of shit going on. You got all kinds of stuff to fill us in on.
Oh, dude, not much in my grow other than just chopping shit down mostly. So, obviously had the kid and mostly dealing with the kid. And, well, I guess that's kind of the nice part about aquaponics, though, is there's not a lot of maintenance you have to do, especially latent flower. There, I don't even feed any tea or anything like that. I barely even feed the fish latent flower. So, there really wasn't much I had to do there. And so that shishkaberry was the last plant that I had to cut down. Let's see, what's this? This is about half of the jackhammer, Jack Frost by 9-pound hammer. And let's see, I think this is out of the aquaponic system. Yeah, this is sour strawberry. So a bunch of nugs like that. maybe a couple bigger ones, but all about that size. And about 2 ounces per plant of like bud, and then a bunch of popcorn and stuff that I've been smoking on. Which I always do that for whatever reason. I always smoke the popcorn first. I don't know why.
Yeah, me too. Me too, because it's there. Take
Yeah.
it off.
Got to save the best for last, man.
I guess maybe it's a grower thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I just bummed weed off my brother all the time, and I didn't grow it myself, I smoked all the fat stuff first. So I think it's a grower thing. So this is about half of the Oregon Blackberry by Peach Frost. When I'm carrying them, like right now, the reason they're out here is because I'm burping them. I only like to fill up about half the jar. And
what's that taste like, Marty?
Delicious tartness. It's like it probably smells more peachy than blackberry, and it's not quite as dense. It's almost like a cheese structure. I don't know if you ever smoked like a blue cheese or a UK cheese. It's not quite as dense as some of the other strains that I've grown or even grew in this run. But in terms of smell and flavor, it's really, really pungent, really fruity, very, very peachy, which I don't think I've ever really encountered before.
Like a sweet on the sweet side?
Yeah, it's a very berry-like smell. It's not.
Where can you get that? Where do you get some of that?
There's a guy here in Gold Hill, Oregon, that I get pretty much most of my cuts from. He does all his own breeding.
Oh, it's a clone only?
For me, it's a clone only. I know he has seeds of it, but they don't venture outside of his house too often.
Right.
He's a professional breeder, so he supplies a lot of the large scale grows around here for quite a while, with clones specifically, not so much seeds. And so, some people make money off selling seeds, and some people prefer to keep the seeds in house and make money off of selling clones. And there's arguments for doing it both ways, but he won't even tell me what the peach is in this cross. He won't tell me where, like, what the genetics are on it. But I will. It's the only thing that I've ever weed wise that I've smelled that'd be like, oh, that does smell like peach. So it's definitely going in the head stash. So it's great, and I like having a variety of stuff. Like the sour strawberry is a lot different because I like to smoke it in the daytime, and it's more of a sour diesel smell. It's not really fruity at all, and but it gets still a great flavor, just a different flavor for sure.
You have to be open-minded if you want to experiment with different strains and flavors, all right? So
yeah,
you'll be tasting that sweet lemony taste all your life. When do I grow that? When do I grow that?
Yeah, and then it can be tough to decide. Like right now, I have in the veg room, I still have the shishka berry, which I definitely want to run again because I really like it. I still have sour strawberry. I have seeds here that I have yet to pop on stuff that I've never ran before. But now that my plant count has been cut down to 10 plants, it's that's kind of tough, to actually decide what I should run and what I should. I got Super Silver Haze, which I haven't even flowered the cut of yet.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great strain. I have an Oregon Skunk, which I definitely have.
From a friend, where you can't get any. We can't get any.
What's that?
I said from your friend, Oregon Skunk. From your friend.
It's also from the same guy. Yeah, I do know that. I'd have to look at it, but he did tell me what the heritage was on that one. And it's really popular around here already. It's been around. He did that cross a while ago, and it makes its rounds here locally pretty good. I have Jaeger, which is a purple Hindu Kush. That's really popular around here right now too, and I've only flowered it once, and but I had some flower from it outdoors from one of my buddies who, he grows a lot of he doesn't do aquaponics yet, but he does all probiotic, sort of like a Korean natural farming in the soil. he's big in the Probiotic Farmer Alliance stuff. And anyway, he grew some outdoors last year that was amazing, and just brought it out some indoor over that he had the same cut that I have here, and it was amazing as well. So I've seen lots of pictures of Jaeger around that are very appealing. So it's tough. It's hard to decide what I'm going to put in. Like I said, I just cut down the last plant that was in there, and I'm just starting to be able to start work on gardening stuff a little bit as the baby gets used to us and we get used to the baby, and kind of figuring out the little bit of time that we can eke out to get some gardening done. But so I got that last plant out of there, and we're trying to decide what to move back in and get everything cleaned up again and get started. But when you only got 10 plants to run, it can be it can be a little disheartening when you got to, I probably have 20 different strains between clones and seeds that, I couldn't run all of them if I wanted to. So, and now they just recently, I don't know if you guys know or talked about it in your cannabis class, but they just passed more legislation in Oregon that fucks over small growers. So we're back to being limited on the number of clones that we can have, to being double the amount of our allotted plants. So less than a year ago, we passed legislation that was supposed to help small growers in that they would no longer be limited to plants being a foot tall. And in terms of immature plants, they didn't count against plant counts. And that was supposed to be something we get. And not even a year later, here it is. Now it's being changed again, so that you're limited to that. So here I can only have 10 plants, which means I can only have 20 clones. So it's just like one more thing that's going to make it difficult for people to be able to continue doing like cloning operations that my friend runs are now going to be back to being technically illegal. So
that affects breeding too.
Absolutely, yeah. It doesn't at this point. Whether you're the plants in veg or not or whatever. Well, it does matter if it's in flower. It runs against your plant count, but now you also have a veg plant count. So whatever you're registered for. Let's say you have 10 plants, you can have twice that many. You can have 10 flowering plants plus 20 plants not flowering. So whether that's moms, let's say you have 10 moms, you could only have one clone of each one.
So they have a 12-inch rule in Oregon, or what's the clone definition?
Well, it's not in flower, and I believe.
Yeah, it's a clone.
Yeah, I just believe it's indicated by whether or not it's in flower.
Flowering plant. Once it's flowered, it's a flower. So they let you use it for whatever, and then once you flower it, it's a flowering plant, and no longer a vegging plant. And you can replace that with a vegging plant. It's still.
I'd have to go back and read the wording again. I'm not sure, but
your audio is a little rough there, Roger. I don't know if you're far from the mic or what. But...
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it? Oh, I'm sorry. I was over. I had moved a little bit. I apologize.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I think Marty was answering by the time you got my attention about it. Marty was talking. So.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't even hear you. So I didn't know you were talking.
Oh no, I just asked you a couple questions. You seemed to hear them because you replied. So I was just moving the conversation along. That's all.
Oh, okay. I guess I did hear it then. I'm not sure.
Well, either that or we think a lot alike because I asked you a question and you answered me. So
what's the
marijuana affects the memory?
What's the latest? What's the latest?
I think I heard that somewhere, but I can't remember where.
That's from
over here.
The memory from Half Baked, by the way. How's the latest? What's the newest news on Oregon Clusterfuck 2017?
Well, which one? It's so there's a number of things that happened on top of the cloning, or I guess veg plant rule changes. So now the Oregon Liquor, or OLCC, Oregon Liquor something Council, which has no idea about marijuana, is now responsible for even medical marijuana oversight. And so, I mean, I guess their logic behind that is that, you know, they want to treat it in the same way that they treat alcohol, because that became some sort of like political bargaining chip at some point, that just because it makes sense in an analogy that we should base legislation on it is just stupid in my opinion. But that's essentially what we've done, is said, okay, well, yeah, because that little selling point, or political bargaining chip or jargon or whatever you want to call it, sounded good and sold well, now let's just put them in charge. Like, we do want to treat them exactly the same. So since we're going to treat them exactly the same, all these people that are basically, their jobs are to oversee liquor and alcohol in our state are now also responsible. And they increase their budget, and, you know, they have all of these things that are, you know, supposed to help the transition from the Oregon medical marijuana program over to there. And as far as like growers go, there's only a few like small changes in terms of what they have to do. Like, they have to report to a different system. So if you are in the medical marijuana program, recently you had to start reporting to, I guess it wasn't too recently, it was about a year ago, I guess, you had to start reporting to the tracking system. So every plant, every clone, every seed you pop has to get a little ID tag number, and basically it has to be tracked from the time that you pop the seed, acquired the clone, where you got the clone from, and every plant is registered with the state. And this isn't just like, oh, for, you know, grows with like 600 plants. We're talking anybody with more than 10. So if you grow for anybody besides yourself, like let's say Roger got cancer, and I like Roger, so I don't want Roger to die. So I'm going to say, hey, Roger, since you're going to be busy fighting your cancer and whatnot, I really want to grow some pot for you just out of my own backyard and allow you to treat it. Nope, can't do it. Or if I can do it, given my county regulations, I have to then report everything that I give to you, every seed that I pop for you. If I pop 20 seeds, I have to specify which ones I kept and which ones that I composted, or which ones that I culled out, and I can't sell them to my buddies anymore. Can't sell cuts. So that means all of my waste has to just literally be chopped down. I can't, not supposed to even give them away. So if I pop 20 seeds for my buddy Roger, who has cancer, and I only want to keep 10 of the plants because that's all we can be allowed to keep, I can't go to my buddy Steve and say, hey, Steve, do you want any of these plants? Because I don't want them to go to waste. Nope, can't do that. Have to be cut down, cold, and composted. On top of, you are supposed to have a controlled compost, which means somebody out there is concerned about, apparently, somebody getting into your compost pile in order to steal your weed that you're composting. Now I want that to set in for a minute, and I want you to think about who you know that would get so desperate for some weed that would dig it out of a compost pile.
What fucking weed are these?
Oh man, I know
people
Marty
smoking?
has this compost back here, and I'm
these
fucking
people
feeling
did
pretty
one too many-
bad.
These
Dude,
people did one too many fucking dabs. That's their problem.
and I said, you know, I've said this before in one of the podcasts before, like when they were getting ready to pass this stupid legislation, I said it then too. It's like, what? I don't even know who's coming up with this bullshit anymore. Like, I don't even know where that comes, like, how that got, like, not just out of some retarded person's mouth, but also how did that get signed into legislation by supposedly educated, intelligent people
They don't read it.
whose jobs are to decide
It says legalize.
Right. I just don't, that to me, I just don't understand how that becomes a regulation. You know, like they're in a meeting somewhere, like you just have to imagine, like that really happened in a meeting somewhere where professionals gathered together to make laws sat in a room and had to listen to somebody so uninformed and ignorant that had to waste time putting together legislation for composted fucking stuff. Just think about that for a minute. What a colossal waste of time that is. Like, I took the time to vote for these.
I love it.
You know what I mean? Like, where's the disconnect here? Like, that just seems like I don't know. And again, if you're so desperate that you're going to dig through my compost pile that you need weed, just knock on my door. I've got jars and jars of roaches and like trim. I got all kinds of stuff that's better than that. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm going to judge anybody that's desperate for weed. I'm just saying that, like, that's never going to happen. Nobody is ever going to go searching. Like, they'll steal your shit and sell it to buy drugs, probably not weed if it's to that point, but I just don't ever see it getting so bad that you would come steal, like, dig up shit out of the compost. I mean, think about the shit you put in the compost to start with.
Hey,
I'm in
that should be the
SoCal.
name of your business.
I'm in
That should be the
SoCal.
name of
I literally get 3 pounds of trim from people that I know for free. Why would I need to ever steal weed out of a compost? And that's like anywhere there's a lot of weed growing, there's free at least trim floating around, or at least something enough to smoke.
Right.
I think that should be the name of the house, the you know, your podcast network. So thing, it should be the band should be called the Controlled Compost.
That's
You know,
right.
that should
Secured
be the name of the band that does the intros, and you know, like we're talking about. You know, we'll call it the Controlled Compost with the intro song.
Yeah, we had a live intro on the other podcast that was really cool. We're working on a really cool kind of parody remix version of Parliament Funkadelic.
I had a lot of ideas about that stuff. After all, you know.
Yeah, that'll be really cool.
We got to get some. We have to
When it's
do some collaboration.
We're working on that right now.
So what other clusterfucks you want to know about in Oregon?
Keep going down the list. I want people to know. No, this is a podium that I love to get on and preach on. Like, this is why you don't blindly vote for a bill because it says legalization. This is why you don't blindly vote for any bill that even says medical marijuana. Make sure you read it and make sure it doesn't allow for ridiculous local control. Make sure it doesn't allow for home grows to be pigeonholed out of the market. Make sure it doesn't allow for ridiculous zoning laws. Make sure it allows for mom and pop cannabis shops to actually get a foothold in the market. Those are things and also make sure it requires blanket testing for this. And let me explain why. Because when I go to the alcohol store, everything has a proof. Cannabis should have a proof. It's the same shit. And the same thing with the microbial testing. That's fine. Just make sure that you're allowing for proper exemptions for aquaponics or organic hydro, where you're at least testing for the microbial species and not necessarily total microbial count. That's all.
So I just switched over to chat and noticed real quick that Holy Smokes brought up a good point. You actually are required to have a live feed to the OLCC for your compost bin. I'm not making that up.
It was
100% requirement.
Thank you, bro.
No, I'm not joking. I want to be dead serious without laughing for at least like 10 seconds here. So that you guys know that I'm not kidding. If you want a rec license or you want to get a medical grow, I believe above 10, basically anybody, well, I'm not sure about the medical grow, what size it is minimum, but there is a requirement at some point that you provide that live feed. Recreational grows 100%. You have to do a live feed to the OLCC of your security cameras, and one of your security cameras has to cover your compost. If you have one. You don't have to have one. But if you don't have one, you have to show how you're disposing of it and how it's controlled. So if you have a service that comes to pick it up, then that's what you have to report on and how it's secure until they do it. And then the person that takes it has to report on what they do with it all the way up until it's destroyed. Same thing with extractors. You have to extract all of that stuff. All that stuff has to be tracked. So you don't just have to say how much you extracted, but you have to say how much was left over, how much material was left over, and what you did with it. If you composted it, if you disposed of it in another way, you have to document all of that stuff. And it's, I understand portions of it. I understand, like for large recreational grows, wanting them to have cameras, and you have to have, I think, two. I think they cut that back. I think you have to have every plant on a camera. So one camera view, every plant, even if you have 900 plants, you're supposed to lay it out so that you have camera coverage over all of your plants, and which means that, like, if you have some in the middle, even though there's only one row that you could possibly walk down to be able to get down there, you have to have all of them on camera and from at least one view at all times. So which means if you have moving cameras, that's the same thing. So if it moves over here and both cameras move away, there can be a time in which you can't see it, is what they want ultimately to happen. And
so you have to have 24/7 overlapping camera coverage.
And you have to have 30
they
days.
have to have live access to it too.
Yeah, the OLCC has to have live access to it, and you have to store 30 days worth of footage on site. So not off-site storage, not like remote storage or anything else, but basically if the OLCC shows up at your door and says, hey, we want to check out your last 30 days of footage, you have to have it there ready to go and load it up and let them go through as much as they want.
Chicken Hall says, it's like a gentleman in chat says, I would drop my pants bare ass daily just to make them look at my ass.
There's been some interesting suggestions along those lines, that's for sure.
That's my buddy.
My morning dump on camera
Yeah.
has been one of the suggestions.
He sounded that, yeah.
Then I told my buddy, then he'd just have to weigh it.
Hold up Live Leak or some other website, make them see some stuff they can't unsee, make them regret watching the video.
Could happen.
Anyways, got a lot of hands up right
And sorry, I wasn't trying to laugh at your dilemma there in Oregon. I mean, but it's just hilarious to us, actually. But it's because it can be hilarious. Yeah, peace. Yeah. But it was, and I apologize because I know you're very serious about it. But just think about if you were on the East Coast, like around where I'm at. I don't even have anything to be pissed off about because I can't do it. Yeah, but so that's why I maybe I was too lighthearted. And Marty, I want to apologize to you and the Oregon people that are going through all this crap. You know.
Hey, I cry till I laugh. I laugh till I cry. Either way, it's the same journey, right?
Yeah. I just didn't want you to feel like I was being. But I'm sorry, I've got to shut up sometimes. I start getting too excited about things. But, it's sad that they do that to people because it is such a, well, it's just beating a dead horse when we start talking about
I feel like
this should be open to everybody. Yeah, but it should be open to everybody, period.
I feel like this is a infomercial though, because all I want to do is be like, but wait, there's more.
Yeah, continue, please.
That's not even it. So now, and we talked about this a lot in previous episodes, but we talked about how the market was relatively flush with product and was being tested, and dispensaries were sort of overflowing with quality product, and that they needed a vacuum to be able to get in, and then they sort of went through a lot of different regulation that stopped extractors from extracting for a little while and created a vacuum there. And now they have the legislation that passed after legalization, which allows them to essentially regulate cannabis on the county level even though there's specifically language in Measure 91 to prevent that. So as they've gone through each step along the way, they've vacated different parts of the market so it could be populated by rec. So you have like Jackson County here, which had over 2,000 registered growers just in the area. And now it's been cut down to drastically less than that because of county regulations that involve zoning and a few different things that happen in relation to that. So because of that huge drop in the number of growers that are available, there were patients that came up essentially with no grower at all whatsoever that had no options because so many growers were either not growing anymore or have gone back underground. And obviously that's a choice they had to make. But I think the key point was that there were a lot of displaced patients, which doesn't sell well for politicians. So obviously they wanted to do something about that. And lo and behold, guess what happens? They came up with a perfect solution. We will just let rec growers grow for medical. So they came up with this idea of giving all of the rec growers the option to also be a medical grow so they could have up to 48 additional plants on top of their canopy that they could grow for medical patients. And then the rec growers could come in and save the day from the problem that they already caused. So it really became a giant fuck you to basically every small grower that's out there, because now you've got a situation where they used the patients, which obviously patients need their medication. Nobody's arguing that that somebody should be growing for them, but the people behind that used that momentum, which was for most everybody I know wanted to continue using the grower that they had before. They didn't have an issue getting product or quality tested product. And yeah, there's the occasional people that got screwed over by asshole growers or people that were looking to make a profit. But for the most part, patients had access to medication for free, and small growers were able to recoup money based on growing more than what they needed. They were good enough to be able to grow excess than what the patient needed and be able to sell that to a dispensary and cover the costs for growing for the patient. And it was a great system in place for years, which is now completely fucked because of all of this. So you took a situation in which everything was essentially great with the medical program. Patients were getting their medications for free. They were quality tested medications in access. Dispensaries had no shortages. They had options for extracts across the board, and a lot of them locally done extracts and professionally done, not like open blasted cans of butane bullshit. We're talking like medical grade extractions and multiple options for them. So we went in like CBD strains were much more prevalent. Every dispensary that I was going into around that time, because me and my partner had product to sell to the dispensary, completely legal, no issue with it. Now you can't even do that anymore. So you have everything separated now to where dispensaries are forced to choose between medical or rec or both, but they all come with their own licensing and expenses. And guess what? The medical licensing and expenses is more. Recreational allows for more things. It's cheaper. And it pushes everything in that direction. So medical growers have fewer dispensaries with which they can legally sell to, and you have a lot more overhead and tracking that you have to do in order to do it. Like I talked about, you have to tag the plant from the time that you get it, whether you sprout a seed or you get a clone, whatever it is, and you have to track it all the way to the end and how much you harvested off of it, what the wet weight was, what the dry weight was, when you trim it off, like all of those things like are documented, which may not sound like a big deal, but it is a big deal, especially for larger grows. Like if you've got 48 medical plants, for instance, documenting all of that stuff and being accountable for it can be a difficult process. In some situations, they're asking you to estimate what your potential yield would be. And anybody who's ever tried to do that on any type of grow, unless you're relatively familiar with the strain and setup that you're in, there's going to be a relatively large margin of error trying to guess what the dry weight of a wet living plant is. Like, that's just like, yeah, you might be able to get close, but and I'm sure they're not really going to bust balls unless they want to, but it's just a big ask, in my opinion, for a lot of plants. And I don't see the big advantage to the patient. It's not getting them better quality meds. It's all just based on this sort of appeasement that I feel like that we give to other or that we give to people who are opposed to medical or recreational cannabis in really any form. We give them this appeasement that none of it will go to the black market. Like the fucking black market needs to exist. Like, we want it to exist. Like any of those things happen, but it becomes this, again, like this political bargaining point that ends up getting just negotiated away in this entire process, where we forget that we're still just growing a plant, producing a quality product, having it tested and getting it to market. And all of those things where we, like, especially Republicans lose this all the time. They lose sight of the fact that regulation can cut down on production. They believe it about every other aspect of business that you could think of in terms of government regulation. They never want anything to do with it. They never want to regulate how you use your property or how you spend your money, or, you know, they always want to lower taxes and everything until it comes to cannabis use or cannabis growing or any of those different things. Then they want the government to determine how many plants you should have and how many of this and how you should grow them, and all these other things that don't have an impact on the quality of cannabis that a patient gets. And that's where the sort of big clusterfuck for me comes in Oregon, is that ever since recreational has come about, it feels like the concern for the patient has just disappeared. Like, other than, oh, well, yeah, obviously we don't want a bunch of screaming patients at our meetings, so we better let the rec growers grow for them. That sounds like a good idea, mostly because they're our buddies and we wanted them to anyway, in my opinion. But obviously, even the ones that weren't involved in that, whether you're a state representative or a county representative, you know, I went to the meetings. I went to a lot of the initial meetings even before this stuff passed, and it's a lot of elderly people at these meetings saying, I use it to treat my arthritis, or I use it to help with my cancer treatments, or I use it to, you know, again, I would say probably the majority of people that were speaking out at council meetings were elderly. I would say, you know, over the age of 60, and a lot of angry people, where council members just straight walked out, didn't even answer questions. And you were running into situations where a group of 9 people is making decisions for, you know, close to 1 million people here in the Valley. That's a lot. And like I said, we had over 2,000 registered growers, which is drastically cut down now. Where you have, you know, we have a significant number of recreational grows here. Most of them are larger grows with less people, less workers, and from not in the area, that have moved in from out of town. So all of those things end up working against the small grower that's been here for a while. If you've lived in a place and you've set up the stuff that you need to be able to do what you do, even legally under the medical program that's been here for over a decade, you could have serious investment in your property done over years that now, because of county regulations, you can't even use. And it becomes a huge disadvantage to you, because now if you want to continue your livelihood, you have to figure out, okay, well, am I going to sell my property? Well, if I try to sell my property, I'm going to find out it's less valuable than, say, my neighbor's property that is registered as EFU and doesn't have the same zoning restrictions. So you came with this huge disparage in real estate value, where the zoning was what it should be. So large portions of EFU in forest rec land sold for way more than what its estimated value was. And real estate across the board has gone up. That's another sort of big talking point that they get into in Oregon here, is that why county regulations around here say that I can't grow outside. It's because if I grow outside and the neighbor smells it, then he won't be able to sell his house. It'll be worth less money, and he won't be able to sell his house because their neighbor grows pot. And it's completely 100%, like 110% the opposite. And every place that legalization has touched, whether it's Oregon, Colorado, Washington, any of them, property values have done nothing but go through the roof. Like, that's just 100% bull-faced lie, and it doesn't matter. They still spout the same bullshit. The same 9 people pass the same regulations more and more, and they fuck over small growers, and they help out corporate growers. They help out recreational growers. They want bigger farms, more isolated, less of it happening where you can see it. But here, why don't you come drive through wine country here in Southern Oregon, and you can see all of the grapes that they grow for all of the wine that they make and then get trashed on all the wine tours. And that's all fine. And I just don't, like that sort of like raw disconnect from logic is mind blowing to me. And that's the sad clusterfuck that's Oregon. And that's not even all of the, I guess, the changes that have come up recently, but it's definitely the sort of the highlights of it. There's a whole list if you want to look it up. I'll try to post I posted in the Aquaponic Cannabis Growers group sort of the list of different changes, and most of it is just stuff that's being transitioned to the OLCC, and that's sort of just the highlights.
I'll tell you
guys
what.
still there?
I also wanted to touch on.
Steve, I think you're muted.
This is a big. Am I still muted?
No.
Okay. This is a big thing. It looks like the Conservatives just lost in the UK, which is totally unexpected. Looks like Theresa May lost the election, which is pretty awesome because she's basically George Bush of the UK. She wanted to crack down on the internet. She wanted to crack down on cannabis again after the UK started to loosen up on a bunch of other stuff. So just wanted to mention that real quick.
So it's a big win for our cannabis friends in the UK.
Hell yeah, it is. That's huge in the UK. Especially with them leaving the EU. That'll be enormous because that'll hopefully open up the markets there a lot more. Because the other 3 parties that are going to form a coalition looks like are all pretty much more liberal on cannabis.
Everybody's seeing the writing on the wall. Everybody wants that money. Money. The almighty dollar, pound, yen, whatever it is. They want it. So, but do we got anything going on in the chat? I heard a bunch of beeping going on. Like, so.
What's new?
I don't know, my audio got messed up there for a little bit, but it seems to be fine now.
What's new with Brian Grow?
Let's see. I haven't been too busy this week, but I've got my frames put together for the screens that I'm gonna make for dry sifting, and then I started work on a sand filter for my rainwater. I don't know if y'all know what the sand biofilter, slow sand biofilter is, but it basically works along the same lines of how aquaponics, you have to wait for your bacteria to establish. That's kind of how a slow sand filter works. You put your gravel at the bottom, and then you put your different grades of sand on top. And after a while, well, the idea is you're supposed to keep the water circulating to this slow sand filter for the entirety of the time. And after about, I think it's like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, your bacteria start to colonize the top surface of the sand. And the sand itself does the mechanical filtration of the water, removing any small particles and whatnot. So that's what I've been working on. But the sand that I have right now is extremely fine, and it doesn't let any water through. So I've been having to revamp the design. What's
Yeah,
up?
I don't know. I don't know. Marty, you want to answer this? Because you know how I usually am about sand filters and sand systems.
You should probably answer it because I know nothing about them. I try to stay out of your guys' arguments about them. I really don't. Yeah, I've never used them. I've never really read about them. I know just some of the information that I've seen you guys post back and forth on. I forget the guy's name now. What's his name? I know you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, we'll just leave
Maybe you
it at
shouldn't
that.
say his name. It like
Yeah,
credibility in some weird way.
yeah.
But
Anyways,
anyway, we'll
you
just
know
call him
what? You know
Beetlejuice.
what? It'll be interesting if you do get it. It'd be interesting to see how your stuff turns out. I'll leave it at that. I'm generally super skeptical about sand systems. I've used them quite a bit with both aquariums and ponds and pools and reptile enclosures and tested them in aquaponics. So
Well, I'm kind of just setting mine up to clean up my rainwater so I can have a pretty decent
oh word.
starting quality for my aquaponics water. So that's the whole reason that I'm trying to put that together.
So it's for
Trying to
dedicated.
become
Makes
more
a lot
efficient. You
more
know,
sense.
I'm real big on water conservation too. So I try not to waste too much water or have to do any water changes. Or if I do, I try to make sure I put the water back in at some point after aerating it or whatever. So that's definitely one of my big points I try to go by in the aquaponic theory. So, and then today I spent the day moving all my shit around my room because I added an air conditioner because my temperatures were getting up in the 90s. So I was like, fuck that, we gotta definitely bring that down. So my room is a complete disaster right now, and I can barely move around in here. But hopefully I'll get that straightened back out tomorrow. So
That's
yeah,
good. You can use
I'm
you can
also
use the
gonna
bags from
go ahead.
dresses if you got an air conditioner, you can take the big bags you can get from the dry cleaner for dresses, stick the open end over the
Uh-huh.
end of the air conditioner, and then you can tape up the holes at the end and then cut holes where you want to direct it for the plants.
Oh, okay,
And
cool,
much
cool.
cheaper. You usually give them a couple bucks for a couple of those bags.
Yeah, I'll have to think about doing that because my temperature inside the well, my temperature in the room went down to like 75 to 80. It's been going down. Right now it's like at 75, and it was about 80 to 85 earlier. I put the air conditioner in the evening, so it didn't have much time to work on getting the temperature down, but hopefully overnight it'll really stabilize in here and won't have to work too hard tomorrow. But
Yeah, we use
yeah,
that
that's
same principle of moving the like you said, the bag. It's convection tubing they use in the greenhouse. You use the same principle, run the cool air down through or hot air down through a long tube, like you just said, using a dry cleaning tube. That's pretty interesting. I'm
hmm.
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, Frank Grove. Yeah, it's
Oh,
called
you're
convection.
fine, man. You're fine.
Yeah, they call it convection tubing. So there's a process called convection tubing. If you wanted to research that kind of idea beyond just taping a bag over the air conditioner. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely have to think about doing something to direct the cooler air into the areas that I need it. But that's pretty much all I've been working on. I was actually working on doing a video for the slow sand filter and how I'm going to be doing it. Just like I said, basically just for my rainwater, so I can have decent starting quality for my water. And then I was also actually pretty intrigued by that post that you posted in the Aquaponics Facebook Cannabis Growers group. It was a PDF of all the different NPK values of different organic inputs, and I was looking at the burned cucumber, which is good for
Yeah.
phosphorus and potassium. And then the wood ash also, I'm not sure how much phosphorus it had, but it had also potassium. And I was like, well, you could use that also to help regulate your pH. So
Yep.
That was a pretty good article. And if you're part of the
That's pretty cool.
yeah, if you're part of the Aquaponic Facebook group, then definitely download that PDF and check it out. It's just 2 pages, and it's basically just a list with all the NPK values. So that was fucking awesome, and I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm working on getting a bunch more of the files. I have a shit ton of stuff that I'm sitting on that I need to get up on the upload the files there. Working on fixing up all of our social media, working on that new website, just trying to spruce everything up a little bit in my spare time, like at least half an hour a day. So that's been working out.
Yeah, there's a PDF, and there's also I think the same place I got the PDF from had a calculator. It's an online calculator where you can go punch in like how much weight.
Yeah, definitely. I remember seeing that one in the group too.
Yeah. So both of those are cool. The PDF is from the same place, and basically is just like, you know, the numbers from the PDF are part of the equation for calculating out whatever total NPK value you would have. So you could say, okay, well, if I did, you know, stinging nettle and burn cucumber skins and whatever, then I'll give you the total value all added up based on the weight of each one. So both of those are pretty cool. I'll try to post them again. Or
I'll try to cross post everything. I'll make like a new Google account that's just locked, that has a publicly shared Google Drive or something that I can share a bunch of the source documents and stuff that I have that are, you know, free to the public, that aren't NDA'd or anything, that I can throw up for you guys.
Wouldn't there be a variance possibly from person to person, user to user, when they do this process, like burnt cucumber or something like that? Would they get the same NPK?
Yeah, and they account for that in the PDF file. It shows that it's either going to vary from X number to Y number. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's important that, you know, like basically the ratios are going to stay the same. So, you know, most of the time when you do it different ways, or let's say even if you mess it up, you know, you might not get as much product to feed, but it'll still have the same ratio even if you get less of a return. Does that make sense?
In a way, because since I do my own nutrients and know that even in a commercial, say like I don't know if I should mention any commercial big giant farm name companies, but like a commercial agricultural greenhouse situation, they teach you that you got a 20 to 25% margin of error on any given mineral or nutrient at any given time. You know, without for a short period of time.
Doing it the way that they do it, yeah. For
a short period of time, because I mean, you have to balance it back out, but you can get off as much. It was, the lesson was learned, if you were short on something, you couldn't provide it, but you had some you could provide it. Wouldn't be up to the value you normally would run, but you were up to the value, the NPK ratio that where you were within 20 to 25% maximum. I mean, again, I'm not saying I was that far off, but they teach that you can get that far off in a day or two or a short period of time. So kind of what you said to me, it just interlaced with that thought. Am I off base with that? Did I just lose you guys, or?
No, that's good.
No, I mean, it sounds about right. You know, I mean, everybody who grows stuff does it differently. So.
No, I was talking about with what Marty
naturally going to be.
I kind of equated it, that same kind of balance. What you were saying, where how it.
I'm with you.
Okay. All right.
Yep, I got you. And which is kind of that same thing, is it'll be difficult to get it outside of the ratio, even messing it up. It's more like you'll get more or less of a return, or more or less microbial life would probably be the other issue. But as long as, like, when you're like fermenting stuff, well, I know, are you doing, when you say you're making your own nutrients, are you doing like plant fermentations, or how are you making your own nutrients? I guess I should ask.
Well, my nutrients are different. I was just trying to understand mine. I make mine from typical water soluble greenhouse and food grade salts.
Gotcha.
Calcium nitrate, potassium sulfate, sulfate of potash, MAP, MKP, potassium nitrate, all that I get from, in 50-pound bags.
Cool.
No, I was just talking about and I guess that's good you bring that up, because yes, I'm trying to look at what I know about what I do, and I'm trying to understand the way you approach the way you're doing it with aquaponics, and trying to find a bridge between that, because I know some of the product, and then I make my own chelates. I make my own micronutrients are from chelates, which I know you guys use chelates also, and stuff. So it's just I do different. I just done a different methods. Oh, sorry, different methods.
Right. And like you're saying, even on the ones like that you mix up in there, they give you a percentage, or it's more like they give themselves a percentage of what's allowed in the product, is kind of like, I guess, the real sort of jargon around that. But I I do agree with you that pretty much no matter what, whether you're mixing stuff together or you're fermenting stuff or whatever it is, everybody's going to do stuff slightly different and could come out with a slightly different mix at the end, in terms of you might get more or less microbes, or you might get a larger volume of product to feed that's more concentrated, or you might have more volume that is less concentrated. But I don't think you'll ultimately change the NPK value, the ratio of it. So if you get, unless you're getting relatively elaborate, I don't know of a way that you could mess up and say extract more potassium but not as much nitrogen. Does that make sense?
I was just addressing the fact that you were saying if you use this, you would come out with an acceptable NPK ratio. And my original question, going back to that, was just whether or not, as every person seems to do something a little different, so nothing is the same. You can say do it like this, and yours isn't going to be the same as the guy you tell to do like this, right?
Right.
So that's what I was asking, is if that would hold true to where it would still be within a balance that would be workable, or acceptable, and then keep the fish alive. If from user to user, the fact that different people do things different, so the end result is slightly different. So you have a variable of so much. That's what I was getting at. Was it safe to assume that, is what I was asking?
Yes, I would agree. It's safe to assume that.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, it has been fun, but I have to go put some kids to bed and do some fatherly stuff. So thanks for letting me hang out, and check out my YouTube channel, AP Meds. Steve and I hopefully will have a couple of classes announced soon. I know I've had, I think, 3 people contact me more than once about setting up a class date. So we'll definitely get that done in the near future. We're working on the Aussie time zone class. And it's looking like that'll probably be more like a 2 hours at a time over multiple days, as opposed to the 8 hours a day. So we'll definitely be discussing that further. But if anybody has any times that work for them or interested in going through that, then let us know, because we're setting the dates now that I can start doing normal person things again. So definitely check that out. My Patreon page, which I mentioned earlier, is patreon.com/apmeds, which basically just functions like an online class, except for I just teach about whatever I'm doing in my grow at the time. So I always have veg plants and generally flowering something. Like right now, I just chopped some down, so I'm going to do a video on curing a little bit later, and try to do that. And then in addition, I do like grow coaching, like we talked about earlier. If you've got, once a week, I meet with or try to at least, either meet with or message my patrons and ask them, let them ask me any questions they have about their grow, and all the way down to, what should I feed and what should I do, or stuff like that, things to expect coming up, all that kind of stuff. I have one person who's trying to, sort of match up with the same time frame that I do as well. So that's kind of interesting, because we can be about the same time, and, he'll always have something to compare to. So that's kind of a neat thing to do too. And we get a good mix of people there too. I have all over the country. We get veterans, cancer patients, a lot of different people. So it's kind of fun to have everybody contribute. We do a lot of talking on the Aquaponic Cannabis Growers Group. That's my next plug I'll throw out there, which is Steve and I have been running that for a while now. And it's got, how many people does that have now, Steve? 15, 1,600, 2,000?
We're getting close to 2K. Hold on, I'll tell you exactly.
Should be close to 2K, I think.
Yeah, we're getting close. No.
That's pretty cool.
We're at almost 1,800.
Awesome. So definitely check that out. I post updates to there probably most often. Pictures I just posted of that stuff I showed you earlier. So definitely check that out and all that stuff. So I think that's all my plugs. I'm going to go tuck my kids in. Roger, nice seeing you again. Thanks for the riveting conversation. Steve.
Hi, Ben. Great to see you. You're looking good, man. You're looking
Thanks,
good.
man. All you guys in chat, shoot me a message. And just try to be patient. It takes me a little while to get back to a computer and get back to all you guys, but I try to get to it eventually. So if you got questions, let me know.
Well, thanks for a wealth of information.
Hey, anytime. You guys have a good one. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks for joining
Yeah,
us.
brother.
Cheers. Congrats again.
Thanks, man.
Later.
Yeah, baby girl.
What's new with you, Roger?
No, there's not a whole lot new with me. You know, I'm just hanging in there. Glad to be over here hanging out and learning things and trying to help people understand things about growing. And I tell you, I'm more and more intrigued every day about the intensity of the biological and the scientific end of the aquaponics people that are part of this group. And I think that's why I'm here. You know, I learn something every day. And you know what? I haven't been around people that teach me anything much at all for a long time. To be around people that different people in a group can contribute to me learning something new every time I get around them. I just love it. I just love it. You know, so I just try to hang.
Yeah, definitely. Agreed.
You know, just try to hang, you know. Yeah. Yeah. So, is there any new? Well, do we discuss news anymore on this show, or
Only if it's like
it's just a stoner show now?
I guess the one thing we could touch on is the fact that especially after the Comey testimony today, there is no fucking way in hell that Jeff Sessions is going to be in office more than a few more days. I think he's done. I think his reign of terror is now over. So,
I'll tell you, looks like the whole, you know, they've been dropping like flies from the beginning. It's like a rotating door of staff.
Definitely.
I don't know.
Like, who the hell wants to work for the Trump administration?
Okay,
Anyway.
so we're all kind of like-minded here. I feel safe for a change, but oh Lordy, I tell you what, I live.
Yeah, you got to be careful talking politics with certain people, man. Certain people get hateful.
Yeah, well, that's
This
why
is a weed show.
I'm discussing that
Pretty hard to be.
too much. You know, should we discuss politics on the show?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm
Pretty
definitely
much.
not talking about us, you know.
We discuss certain things, but it does look like it
Yeah.
is highly likely that man will not be in office as of the beginning of next episode.
That might be Trump. Might be that way too.
Well, maybe not him so quick, but
Well,
I don't know if
sometimes
you
every
guys saw that Jeff Sessions already offered to resign multiple times because of drama with the
Yeah, I've seen that.
drama in the White House. No. Oh, sorry. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Oh.
But that was one big thing. I don't know if there's anything else quite so big. Yeah, I mean, nobody legalized or anything lately. Oh, there was one other announcement, I guess. There's no, now it is like all the ballots have closed for the year. It doesn't look like there'll be any states that legalize weed, at least in November, through ballot initiative or anything like that.
Oh, so that means that'll be then the holidays, so it won't be back till the after late winter or something before they go back.
If there is any, it'll be through legislative
Yeah.
measures only.
Well, it was a very active year, very fruitful year for the, you know.
Yeah, we'll see how things go.
Well, there were more states that ratified legalization this year than probably any year before, wasn't there? At one time, maybe, or
I don't know.
at least
Maybe it
pretty
won an
close.
election the last time before, because you had 3 of them or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I think she's got Florida, you know,
I don't even remember.
Massachusetts.
Florida didn't legalize
Maine.
rec, though.
I was fixing to say, I don't think Florida got legalized after all.
Well, I don't know if you guys are aware, there's only 6 or 7 states left that don't at least have CBD legal, which only occurred to me a few days ago. I don't think most people realize that. Like, pretty much the entire country now is legalized with a handful of exceptions. But even Mississippi has a CBD law. Like,
Right. Well, South Carolina kind of led the way with that national story where the couple was going to move to Colorado, and it became a national story, and everybody and then this is the fastest legislation I think in the history of cannabis. The South Carolina legislature in a matter of about 2 or 3 days made a law where that family could stay here in South Carolina and use CBD oil to control convulsions and seizures by their daughter. So that was a landmark thing that happened, and I honestly believe that's where, I mean, it wasn't that it was not already happening, but that was a landmark thing that happened where a state legislature got together and said, we're going to make this legal now, period. And it's become a tidal wave. That's great news, though. You said 6? What, 6 or 7, Steve? All that's left?
Six or seven.
So how are the dabs tonight, Steve?
The dabs are really good. Actually, I made a fresh batch. I did these at a colder temperature. They came out a little different. It was like harder to get off the paper. It was different. It was very glass-like. It took like a good 12 hours to finally be able to get it to work it back in. Working on, I have some extra trims, so I've been kind of playing around with some experimental ways doing it.
Cool.
All this stuff is
Yeah,
dark.
I'm looking.
It's dark because the material I got's a little bit older. So
I'm looking forward to doing some dry sift and then maybe doing some hair dryer. I mean, not hair dryer, but the hair straightener dabs.
yeah, dry sift or
Try and make some
for doing that method with the hair dryer works really good. So actually, hey, let's talk about how to do that at home. So
the hair dryer rosin press. I mean, hair straightener.
well, yeah. So let's go. So let's say we're on an extremely tight budget and we happen to be in a legal state. How would we?
Because you would not want to do this if you're not in a legal state.
Again, yes, we do not endorse anything that might be interpreted as less than legal. So
perfect.
What you do is, what you can do is you can go to your local T-shirt supply store, and you can get screen print threads, the screen print plates that are at different microns. Usually 220 is your real fine, and then maybe like a 120 or even a 200, and then like a 160 and a 220. You can pick those up for 15, 20 bucks each, something around those. So you can get a set of them for like $40 to $60 depending on where you're at. And then basically you take those, you flip them upside down, you stack them on top of each other, and then you put the finest one on the bottom, the coarsest one on top, descending, of course. And then you take your weed material or cannabis material, trim or flower, preferably flower, and then you grind it up, and once it's dry, you throw it on top. You take a credit card or a DVD case, and you go over it over and over and over, and you kind of grind it into there. You'll push the trichomes through the top of it, through the top couple layers. You'll get different grades, different sizes based on the screen density. And then you'll get different trichomes. Now, the 200 is your really good one. Those are like your 200. Yeah, you can also, yeah, the dry ice you can also use too. Yeah, so that's the best way to do it. You just have to be gentle so you don't bust that top screen. So once you have all that separated, you can take the credit card, scrape all that off into different piles on the wax paper. And once you collected enough of that, then you can take that, put it into a little micron bag. You know, you just take some of you buy some extra micron paper fiber when you go get your t-shirt presses. Take that full, or buy some of the disposable bags. They're dirt cheap. They're $1 or $2 a piece. And pack your bubble hash into there that you made, or the dry sift hash you made into there. Fold it, squish it into your hair straightener. That you're aiming for like a 180 to 220 range, or anywhere in that range is okay for home hair straighteners if you got a temperature or a way to measure it. And then let her rip. Squeeze it for up to 3.5 minutes. Try to ramp up the pressure slowly but surely with the hash. It'll go a lot better than if you just ramp the pressure up all at once. You'll much higher chance of blowing the bag out. With hash, it's much more important that you slowly ramp the pressure up. And that's how you can do all this for like $100, maybe $80, $100.
Then be really stoked.
Yeah, I don't know how much a straightener runs, to be honest. Probably find a decent one for what, like maybe $15, $10-15 with the wide plates on it.
I was thinking $20 to $40. You can get a straightener, and then you're looking at like 40 or $50 for the other things, and then $10 for the bags, and then maybe like $5, $5-10 for the bags, and maybe like $5-10 for a good wood clamp to get you good pressure.
Yeah.
And that would be like super cheap ghetto way to do it, but like if you're in an area where maybe
It's effective.
rosin or dabs are hard to come by for whatever reason that they're hard to come by, that can be a really good way to produce a lot of really high quality solventless dabs that'll give you really similar yields to BHO. Well, maybe not, that method won't be quite as good, but it's safer and you won't blow yourself up and you won't get a felony charge at least.
Yeah, it's definitely effective. I've done it in the past, and I've actually posted some of the pictures of the different strains that I've pressed just the flower out of, and it's produced some really nice rosin. So
Yep. If anyone's interested, I did a really killer rosin press bubble hash to rosin video the other day. You can check it out on my channel. I'm up to over 1,000 views now. That we just broke. So they just featured it over on Dude Grows Show today. Again, super big shout out to them and Dude Grows Show. Check them out if you don't already. DudeGrowsShow.com. Fish Ganja Guy and I run a section over there called Aquaponics. So you go DudeGrowsShow.com/Aquaponics. You'll find us. But big shout out to those guys for mentioning us today. Those guys have a ton of good content. They're up to episode 440 or 450 or something. Super great guys. I've been on their show since, I don't know, a couple months into their show, and they've been our show for quite a long time as well. They inspired our show, so big shout out to those guys, and thank you again for featuring us. Does anybody else have any other questions?
So what's going on in the chat? The chat dead?
The chat is dabbed out. In the chat.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, it was a pretty good show tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of talk about microbials and whatnot. That's always good conversation for people to hear.
I can't wait to check out those two. I think I've heard a little bit about one of the two articles that Leighton was talking about. What the plant knows. I think I've read some of that before. But that sounds pretty interesting that he put it all together from those. So it'll certainly give you an insight into how he came about believing and going about what he thinks. So I'm looking forward to reading that. I actually probably go and do the YouTube thing where I listen to different pieces of it, because I don't want to read it, with my eyes and all. But it'll be interesting to listen to or read. One way or the other, I'm going to figure it out. Good guest.
Yeah, I've been trying to work on the guests. I think the next 2 weeks are going to be ridiculously good. We have we have Mammoth P on next week. Should be fucking awesome. And then Black Dog LED after that.
Oh, nice.
Which
Ganja Guy is doing the side by side, so we'll then have had both of those companies as guests on the show before he does his thing. So I thought that'd be really cool.
Oh, so Spectrum King's
Before he does his testing.
Spectrum King was on before, and then I figured, well, let him do his thing, and then if they want to come on after the show,
right.
Maybe not that episode. Well, maybe we'll try to get them on that episode, but if not, we'll get them on a following up episode and just, tell them they won the first grow off or some shit. We'll come up with something. We were talking about that earlier. We're working on trying to make the show more put together. So.
Oh yeah, of course.
Anyways, be sure to check out our other show on Mondays, which is sorry, my brain just farted.
Last week in cannabis.
Last week in cannabis. Sorry, I'm a little high. One too many dabs. It's the end of the show. It's okay. Last 2 minutes. Brian Grow, why don't you tell people how to find you? Brain Grow. So.
All right. You can check me out on Instagram, BRAYNE_GRO, and you can find me on YouTube as well under the same name.
Awesome. Roger, how can people find you?
Well, I'm still just hanging around at ilovegrownmarijuana.com, and I'm willing to help any of you folks out there that need some help getting started, and we'll make sure your first grow is successful. Guarantee it. A bunch of friendly people, friendliest cannabis forum on the W3. Guarantee you. Bunch of old folks too. For you old folks listening out there, we got a bunch of old folks. Can't believe how many old folks that are loving growing cannabis for the first time. It's just fantastic.
Awesome. You guys can Marty and I are working on picking a new class schedule for the online class. I know we have a couple people that have bought tickets now. We actually just sold a couple more tickets a couple days ago, actually. So we're going to reschedule that for July. We're working on dates with him and I, and everything else. Before I make another announcement, I'm gonna double check with everything this week and make sure everything's set in stone. But we might be doing another additional class in a different way that you guys might like, which would be kind of cool. In addition to the online class. So you guys will like that if everything works out. If not, we'll have an online class date in July. And I'm trying to think of anything else going on. I got those videos should start rolling out tomorrow that I've been working on. If everything works out. Trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's it. I'll see you guys next week. Check out my channel, Ponics on YouTube.com. Ponics on gmail.com. If you have any questions, feel free to write me anytime. Yeah, Ponics.com if you want. Ponics YouTube, Twitter, all the socials. Oh, and also on SoundCloud. If you're check us out and check us out on an audio format now. We just added that. Sorry, I had to plug that. I just remembered. So I'll make sure I get the link to that in the description. I'm working on back cataloging everything, so yeah, check out some of the early episodes first. and I'll get this one up here shortly, the next couple of days. I got a quick. I'll be away this weekend. I'm going up to a conference and then going to a business summit, and then I'll be back. So the episode next week probably won't happen until Tuesday for the last week in cannabis, just so you guys are aware. Instead of Monday. Again, I kind of mentioned that on Monday last week that it might not have been the best choice to start it on a Monday, but that's okay. But yeah, so looking forward, I think we're going to try and make that on Tuesdays. So, but we got a bunch of good articles already stacked up for this week, so I think you guys will like it. And I don't know, we're going to figure out a little bit better format so we don't run so damn late. Alrighty, guys. Cheers. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you guys next time.
Good night, all.